The boardroom fell silent as Helena Caldwell stood and dismissed her executive team with a single, decisive nod. Her exhaustion finally settling over her shoulders like a heavy coat she could no longer shrug off. She had spent 14 hours reviewing acquisition proposals, and the fluorescent lights above had begun to feel like tiny daggers piercing through her skull. At 32, she ran one of the fastest-growing tech companies in Seattle, but success came with a price she paid in sleepless nights and meals eaten standing at her desk. Her assistant had left hours ago, reminding her gently that humans needed rest, but Helena had waved her off, promising to leave soon. That had been 3 hours ago. Now, walking through the empty parking garage toward her Tesla, Helena felt the peculiar loneliness that accompanied her most nights. She had everything she had worked for since graduating from Stanford at 23, the corner office, the 7-figure salary, the respect of her peers. But driving home to her pristine downtown apartment filled with designer furniture and an empty refrigerator felt hollow tonight, more so than usual. On impulse, she turned left instead of right out of the garage, steering toward the city's historic district. The Central Library stayed open until 9 on Thursdays, she remembered, and something about the idea of being around books and people, even strangers, appealed to her. She had donated generously to the library's renovation fund last year, but had never actually visited the building since it reopened. The parking lot was nearly empty when she arrived at 8:30. Helena grabbed her purse and walked through the heavy wooden doors, breathing in the familiar scent of books and old paper. The main floor was quiet, with only a few college students hunched over laptops and an elderly man reading a newspaper. She wandered toward the back, past the fiction stacks, following signs toward the children's section. That was when she saw him. He sat cross-legged on the floor in the reading nook, a worn copy of Where the Wild Things Are open in his lap. 2 small children flanked him, a girl who looked about 6 and a boy who could not have been more than 4. All 3 were completely absorbed in the story, the man's deep voice bringing Morris Sendak's words to life with dramatic pauses and silly voices that made both children giggle. Helena stopped walking, something tightening in her chest. The man was probably in his early 30s, with dark hair that needed a trim and a shadow of stubble on his strong jaw. He wore faded jeans and a flannel shirt with one elbow patch coming loose, work boots that had seen better days. But it was the way he held his children, the gentle care in his calloused hands as he turned each page, the pure love radiating from his tired eyes that made Helena's breath catch. She found herself moving closer, pretending to browse the nearby shelves while stealing glances at the small family. The little girl had dark braids and wore a pink sweater with a small stain on the sleeve. The boy clutched a stuffed rabbit that had clearly been loved nearly to pieces. Neither child wore new clothes, but they were clean and well cared for, their faces glowing with happiness as their father finished the book and immediately reached for another. "Again?" the little boy demanded, bouncing slightly. "Liam, we agreed on 3 books," the man said gently. "We have 2 more to go, okay? Then we need to head home for actual bedtime." "Can we read The Giving Tree?" the girl asked. "Good choice, Mia," her father said, his voice warm with approval. "That is one of my favorites, too." Helena watched as he pulled the requested book from their small pile and began reading. His voice cracked slightly during the emotional parts, and she noticed him blinking rapidly near the end. When he finished, both children were leaning against him, the younger one yawning widely. "All right, 1 more," the man said. "Then we really need to go. Daddy has to get up early for work tomorrow." "Do you have to?" Mia asked, her small voice sad. "You worked last Saturday, too." "I know, sweetheart," he said, kissing the top of her head. "But that means we will have enough for your field trip next month, remember? And maybe some extra for ice cream." Helena felt something crack open in her chest, a feeling she could not quite name. She watched as he read the final book, then helped both children into their light jackets, zipping them carefully despite the mild evening. He checked their backpacks, returned the library books to the return bin, and took each child's hand in his. She followed them out to the parking lot, staying back, not quite ready to let this moment end. She watched as he buckled both children into car seats in an old Honda sedan that had rust around the wheel wells and a cracked taillight. He was careful and methodical, checking each buckle twice, kissing each child's forehead before closing the doors. Helena stood beside her Tesla, keys in hand, as the Honda pulled away. She could not explain what had just happened to her, why watching a stranger read to his children had affected her so profoundly. She had never been particularly interested in kids or family life, too focused on building her empire. But something about that man's gentle strength, his obvious devotion despite what appeared to be financial struggles, had reached past all her carefully constructed walls. She got in her car and drove home, but she could not stop thinking about them. That night, lying in her king-sized bed in her silent apartment, Helena made a decision. She would go back to the library next Thursday, just to see if they were there again. Just to understand this strange pull she felt. The week dragged by in a blur of meetings and conference calls. Helena found her thoughts drifting at odd moments, remembering the man's voice as he read, the way his children had looked at him with such complete trust and adoration. She tried to focus on the product launch scheduled for next quarter, on the investors who needed reassuring, but Thursday could not come fast enough. When the evening finally arrived, Helena left work at 7, ignoring her assistant's surprised expression. She drove to the library with her heart beating faster than it should, feeling ridiculous and excited in equal measure. What was she even doing? This was absurd. She was Helena Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Technologies. She did not chase strange men to libraries. But she parked anyway and walked inside. The children's section was empty when she first arrived, and disappointment settled heavy in her stomach. She browsed the shelves, picking up books at random, checking her watch every few minutes. Maybe they only came once a month. Maybe she had misunderstood. Maybe, Daddy, can we sit in the same spot as last time? Helena's head snapped up. The little girl, Mia, was pulling her father toward the reading nook, her brother trailing behind with his stuffed rabbit. Sure thing, princess, the man said, settling down in the same cross-legged position. Tonight he wore a different flannel shirt, equally worn, and jeans with a patch on one knee. Helena's hands trembled slightly as she moved to the nearby shelves again. She pulled out a book on childhood development, flipping through it without seeing the words, all her attention focused on the scene 10 feet away. They had clearly stopped at the library's cart of free books, because Mia was excitedly showing her father 2 worn paperbacks. Can we keep these? Can we read them tonight? Absolutely, he said, examining the books. These are great finds. Good eye, Mia. I found one too. Liam held up a board book about trucks. Excellent choice, buddy. Why do not we start with yours? Helena listened as he began reading, once again struck by the warmth and patience in his voice. He never rushed, never seemed irritated by Liam's constant questions or Mia's interruptions to point out details in the pictures. He was completely present with them, giving them his full attention in a way that made Helena ache with something she could not name. That is a beautiful thing you do. The words were out before Helena realized she had spoken. The man looked up, surprise evident in his hazel eyes. Up close, she could see flecks of gold in them and the fine lines around them that spoke of someone who smiled often despite hardship. I am sorry, he said. Helena felt heat rising in her cheeks. I apologize. I did not mean to intrude. I saw you last week too, reading with your children. It is lovely. He smiled, and it transformed his whole face. Thank you. It is our Thursday tradition. We live in a small apartment, and sometimes the walls close in on us. The library gives us space and unlimited books, which is pretty much paradise for this crew. I am Mia, the little girl announced. I am 6 3/4. That is Liam. He is 4 but acts like a baby sometimes. I am not a baby, Liam protested. Neither of you are babies, their father said, laughing. He looked back at Helena. I am Tyler Ingram. Sorry, we do not usually talk to strangers, but you seem nice. Helena, she said, realizing she had been staring. Helena Caldwell, and I am the one who should apologize for interrupting your reading time. No worries. Would you like to sit? We have plenty of room, and we are just getting started. It was a simple invitation, probably just politeness, but Helena found herself nodding. She sat down on the carpet, folding her legs beneath her pencil skirt, feeling overdressed and out of place in her designer blouse and heels. But Tyler just smiled and went back to reading, and gradually, Helena felt herself relaxing. She stayed for all 3 books. Then she stayed while Tyler helped the kids pick out books to take home, carefully explaining they could only choose 3 each because they needed to leave some for other children. She stayed while he helped them with their jackets and backpacks. It was nice meeting you, Helena, Tyler said as they prepared to leave. Maybe we will see you around. I hope so, she said, and meant it more than she had meant anything in a long time. Over the next month, Thursday nights became sacred to Helena. She cleared her schedule, delegated tasks, and left work early to make sure she reached the library by 8. Sometimes Tyler and the kids were already there. Sometimes she arrived first and waited, her heart lifting when they walked through the door. They talked in between books, careful conversations that revealed small pieces of their lives. Tyler worked construction, she learned, taking whatever jobs he could find. The kid's mother had left when Liam was 18 months old, unable to handle the demands of parenting. Tyler's parents had passed away years ago, and he had no other family. He was raising Mia and Liam alone, doing his best on an income that never quite stretched far enough. Helena shared carefully edited versions of her own life. She worked in tech, she said, in management. She had grown up in Portland, gone to good schools, worked hard to get where she was. She did not mention the company she ran or the money she had. Something held her back, some instinct that Tyler might retreat if he knew the vast gulf between their circumstances. But she started doing small things. She noticed Mia admiring a boxed set of chapter books one evening and returned the next day to buy it, leaving it on the free cart where Mia would find it. When Liam mentioned loving dinosaurs, a beautiful illustrated dinosaur encyclopedia appeared on the cart the following week. Tyler seemed puzzled by their good luck, but the children's joy was worth any risk of discovery. On the 5th Thursday, Tyler asked if she wanted to grab coffee after the library closed. They sat in a diner 2 blocks away while Mia and Liam colored on paper placemats, and Helena learned more in that hour than she had in all their previous conversations. I never imagined my life would look like this, Tyler admitted, nursing a black coffee he had hesitated to order until Helena insisted it was her treat. I thought I would have the family, the stable job, maybe a house in the suburbs. Instead, I am 33, living paycheck to paycheck, hoping my car holds together for another 6 months. But you have them, Helena said, nodding toward the kids, and they clearly adore you. They are everything, Tyler said simply. When their mom left, I thought I would fall apart. I did not know how to do hair or pack lunches or any of it, but you figure it out. You do what you have to do for your kids. They are lucky to have you. I am the lucky one, Tyler said, his eyes soft as he watched Mia help Liam stay inside the lines. Even on the hard days, even when I am exhausted and the bills are piled up and I do not know how we will make it through another month, I look at them and know I have everything that matters. Helena's throat tightened. She had spent so many years climbing the corporate ladder, measuring success in quarterly earnings and market share. But watching Tyler with his children, seeing the richness of their life despite having so little money, made her question everything she thought she knew about what mattered. Do you want kids someday? Tyler asked, then immediately looked embarrassed. Sorry, that is probably too personal. No, it is okay, Helena said. I honestly never thought much about it. My career always came first. But lately, I have been wondering if maybe I have been missing something important. Tyler looked at her for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why do you come to the library every Thursday? I mean, I am glad you do, we all are. But you do not seem like someone who needs to use the public library. Helena felt her face heat. Is it that obvious? Your clothes probably cost more than I make in a month, Tyler said gently. Not that I am judging. I just wonder why you are spending your Thursday nights watching a single dad struggle through picture books. She could have deflected, could have lied, but something about Tyler's honest gaze made her want to match his vulnerability with her own truth. Because the first time I saw you with Mia and Liam, you were reading Where the Wild Things Are, she said quietly. And I realized I had never seen anything more beautiful than the way you loved your children. I have spent my whole life chasing success, achieving goals, building something impressive. But in that moment, watching you, I realized I had never built anything that mattered as much as what you have with them, and I wanted to understand it, to be close to it. To maybe figure out what I have been missing. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough. That might be the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me. It is the truth. Helena, I need to be honest with you about something. I like you, a lot. More than I probably should, given that we have only known each other a month. But I have nothing to offer you. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment that is too small. I work long hours for not enough pay. My life is complicated and messy and full of chicken nuggets and cartoon marathons and never having enough time or money. You deserve better than that. Helena's heart hammered in her chest. What if I think what you have is better than what I have? What if I think a man who reads bedtime stories to his children and works himself to exhaustion to give them a good life is the most attractive thing I have ever seen? Then you might be a little crazy, Tyler said, but he was smiling. But I kind of hope you are. They sat in that diner until it closed, talking about everything and nothing, while Mia and Liam eventually dozed in their booth. Tyler carried Liam to the car while Helena walked with Mia, the little girl's hand tucked trustingly in hers. Standing in the parking lot, Tyler shifted Liam to one arm and reached out to touch Helena's face gently. Can I see you again, outside the library? I would really like that, Helena whispered. Their first real date was the following Saturday. Tyler could not afford a babysitter, he admitted, so Helena suggested a picnic in the park where the kids could play. She showed up with a basket full of sandwiches and fruit and cookies, trying not to notice Tyler's expression when he saw the expensive organic food she had bought without thinking. But the afternoon was perfect. They spread a blanket under a huge oak tree while Mia and Liam ran around the playground. Helena and Tyler talked for hours, the conversation flowing easily, naturally. He made her laugh with stories about construction site mishaps. She found herself opening up about the pressure of her job, the loneliness that came with success, though she still held back the full truth. When Liam scraped his knee, Helena surprised herself by scooping him up and cleaning the wound with the first aid kit she had thought to pack. She kissed the bandage like she had seen Tyler do, and Liam threw his arms around her neck, making her heart squeeze painfully. You are a natural, Tyler said quietly, watching her with Liam. I have never done this before, Helena admitted. Any of this, but it feels right. As the sun began to set, they walked back to the parking lot together. Tyler buckled the kids into their car seats, then turned to Helena. Thank you for today, for giving us this. I know it is not the glamorous Saturday you probably usually have. This was the best Saturday I have had in years, Helena said honestly. Maybe ever. Tyler stepped closer, and Helena's breath caught. Can I kiss you? She nodded, not trusting her voice. When his lips touched hers, gentle and questioning, something clicked into place. This was what had been missing. This connection, this feeling of coming home to something she had not known she was searching for. They stood there in the parking lot, foreheads touching, until Mia yelled out the car window that she was hungry. They both laughed, the spell breaking but not the magic of the moment. Over the next few weeks, Helena and Tyler saw each other whenever they could. She learned to navigate around his work schedule and the kids' needs, finding joy in the constraints rather than frustration. They had coffee dates while the kids were in school. They texted throughout the day, silly messages that made Helena smile during board meetings. On Thursdays, the library remained their special place, a reminder of where it all started. But Helena knew she was living on borrowed time. The secret of her real identity hung over her like a storm cloud. Every time Tyler mentioned struggling with a bill or worrying about the cost of something, she felt the weight of her deception. She wanted to help, to fix everything for him, but she knew he was too proud to accept charity. And she was terrified that when he learned the truth, he would think that was all she was offering. The reckoning came on a sunny Tuesday afternoon, 2 months after they met. Tyler had taken a rare day off, and they were having lunch together at a cafe downtown while the kids were in school. Helena had just finished telling a story about a difficult client when Tyler's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and froze. "What is wrong?" Helena asked. Tyler turned his phone around, showing her the news alert. "Is this you?" It was an article about Caldwell Technologies' latest acquisition, with a photo of Helena at a press conference. Helena Caldwell, CEO and founder of Caldwell Technologies, announced today. Helena felt her stomach drop. "Tyler, I can explain. You are a CEO?" His voice was carefully neutral. "You run a tech company?" "Yes." "And you did not think to mention this?" "I wanted to," Helena said desperately, "but I was afraid you would see me differently, treat me differently." Tyler set his phone down, his jaw tight. "Helena, do you have any idea how humiliating this is? I have been sitting here for 2 months, telling you about my money problems, worrying about paying for coffee while you are worth, what, millions? That does not matter, of course it matters." Tyler's voice rose, then he caught himself, lowering it again. "I told you I had nothing to offer you. I was completely honest about my situation, and you lied." "I did not lie, I just did not tell you everything." "That is the same thing," Tyler said, standing up. "I need to go, I need to think about this." "Tyler, please, I will call you," he said, but his voice was distant. "I just need some time." Helena watched him walk away, her eyes burning with unshed tears. She had known this moment would come, had feared it, but she had let herself believe that what they had was strong enough to survive it. Now, sitting alone in the cafe with the untouched remains of their lunch, she was not sure of anything. Tyler did not call that night, or the next day. Helena went to the library on Thursday, but they did not show up. She sat in the reading nook alone, holding a copy of Where the Wild Things Are. Feeling like her heart was breaking, on Friday, she finally broke down and called him. He answered on the 4th ring. "Helena." "Please, Tyler. Please talk to me. Let me explain." She heard him sigh. "I am not angry that you have money, Helena. I am angry that you did not trust me enough to tell me. I have been completely open with you about everything, all my failures and struggles and fears. And you held back the most basic truth about your life. How am I supposed to build something real with someone who does not trust me?" "You are right," Helena said, tears streaming down her face. "You are completely right. I was a coward. I was so afraid of losing you, that I risked it anyway by not being honest. But Tyler, everything else was real. The way I feel about you, about Mia and Liam, that is all real. That has nothing to do with money or jobs or any of it." "I believe you," Tyler said quietly. "But I do not know if that is enough. Can I see you? Please, let me try to make this right." There was a long pause. "Saturday, the park where we had our picnic, 2 o'clock, I will bring the kids." "Thank you," Helena whispered. "Thank you." That Saturday, Helena arrived at the park early, her heart in her throat. She had spent the last 2 days thinking about what to say, how to fix this. But when she saw Tyler walking toward her with Mia and Liam, all her rehearsed words fled. "Helena." Liam ran toward her, and she caught him in a hug, breathing in his little boy scent of grape juice and playground dirt. "We missed you on Thursday," Mia said, wrapping her arms around Helena's waist. "Daddy said you were busy with work." "I missed you too," Helena said, her voice thick. So much. Tyler stood a few feet away, his expression guarded. Kids, why do not you go play for a bit? Helena and I need to talk. They ran off toward the swings, and Helena and Tyler sat on the bench, careful space between them. I am sorry, Helena said. I am so sorry. You are right that I should have told you from the beginning who I was. I was afraid, but that is not an excuse. You deserved honesty, and I did not give it to you. Tyler was quiet for a moment, watching his children play. I have been thinking a lot this week about why this upset me so much. And I realized it is not really about the money. It is about the fact that I have felt so inadequate since we started dating, like I was not good enough for you, and finding out you are this successful CEO just confirmed all those fears. Tyler, no, let me finish, he said gently. But then I realized something else. You did not have to spend your Thursday nights at the library. You did not have to have picnics in the park or learn about dinosaurs and princesses. You chose to be with us, even though we have nothing to offer compared to your life. And that has to mean something, right? It means everything, Helena said. Tyler, I have built a successful company. I have money and power and respect, but none of it made me happy. None of it made me feel the way I feel when I am reading books with Liam, or braiding Mia's hair, or just talking to you. You have given me something I did not even know I was missing. A reason to leave work on time, something to look forward to. A feeling of purpose that has nothing to do with profit margins and market share. Tyler reached over and took her hand. I want to make this work, Helena. I really do, but I need you to understand something. I cannot let you take care of us financially. I know you probably want to help, and I appreciate that, but I need to be able to provide for my kids. It is important to me. I understand, Helena said, and I respect that. I am not looking to be your savior, Tyler. I am just looking to be part of your life, in whatever way you will have me. What about your life? Tyler asked. You are a CEO. You have responsibilities, long hours, important work. How does a relationship with a guy who cannot afford fancy restaurants and has kids who need to be in bed by 8 fit into that? I will make it fit, Helena said firmly. I have spent 10 years putting my company first. Maybe it is time I put something else first for a change. Someone else. Tyler pulled her close, and Helena melted into him, breathing in his familiar scent of sawdust and soap. Okay, he said. Okay, let us try this. But we do it honestly from now on. All cards on the table. Deal, Helena whispered. They sealed it with a kiss, and when they pulled apart, Mia and Liam were standing there, giggling. Are you and Daddy boyfriend and girlfriend now? Mia asked. Helena looked at Tyler, who grinned. What do you think, kids? Should Helena be my girlfriend? Yes, they both shouted. Then I guess it is official, Tyler said, pulling Helena close again. The next few months were an exercise in building something new together while respecting each other's boundaries. Helena cut back her hours at work, delegating more to her capable team. She started leaving by 6 most days, often heading straight to Tyler's apartment to help with dinner and bedtime routines. The apartment was indeed small, a cramped 2-bedroom in an aging building. But Helena found she loved it. She loved the drawings Mia taped to the refrigerator and the pile of Liam's toy trucks in the corner and the way Tyler's work boots sat by the door. It felt like a home in a way her expensive apartment never had. She learned to cook simple meals, burning many dinners before getting the hang of it. She mastered the art of bath time and bedtime stories. She helped with homework and kissed scraped knees and attended school plays. Tyler's children became her children in all the ways that mattered. Tyler, for his part, tried to navigate the complexities of dating someone whose life was so different from his own. He met some of Helena's colleagues at a company event and felt completely out of place in his borrowed sport coat. But Helena stayed at his side all night, clearly proud to have him there, and gradually he relaxed. They had their struggles. Tyler's pride sometimes clashed with Helena's instinct to help. When his car finally died, and he spent days trying to figure out how to afford another one, Helena had to bite her tongue to keep from offering to buy him a new one. Instead, She helped him research used cars and negotiated with dealers, using her business skills in a way that let him maintain his dignity. When Mia needed braces and Tyler was staring at the estimate in despair, Helena gently suggested that maybe they could be a gift from her, the way a grandmother might help with such things. It took some convincing, but Tyler eventually agreed, recognizing that accepting help did not make him less of a father. Slowly, they found their balance. Tyler learned that Helena's money was not a threat to his role as a provider and protector. Helena learned that love sometimes meant stepping back and letting Tyler handle things his own way, even when she could have solved problems with a swipe of her credit card. 8 months into their relationship, Tyler invited Helena to move in with them. The apartment was too small for 4 people, they both knew that, but Helena did not care. She brought minimal belongings, a few changes of clothes and her laptop, and crammed them into Tyler's already overstuffed closet. She slept in his bed and woke to the sound of children running down the hallway, and felt happier than she ever had in her pristine downtown apartment. But practicality eventually won out. One night, after they had both tripped over toy trucks for the 3rd time and Liam had woken crying because Mia was reading with a flashlight in their shared room, Tyler brought it up. "We need more space," he said, exhaustion evident in his voice, "but I cannot afford anything bigger." "Not in the city." Helena took a breath. They had been here before, at this crossroads where her money and his pride collided, but this time she had a different approach. "What if we looked at it as an investment," she said carefully, "in our future together? I could buy a house, something with enough room for all of us. You pay what you are paying now in rent, contributing what you can. It is my asset, my investment, but it is our home." Tyler frowned. "Helena, I cannot let you buy us a house. You are not letting me do anything. I am choosing to invest in real estate, which is actually a smart financial move. The fact that the house would be big enough for my family is just a bonus." "Your family?" Tyler's voice was soft. "Yes," Helena said firmly. "You 3 are my family now, the most important thing in my life. So let me do this. Not as charity, not as me taking care of you, but as me making a choice about where I want to live and who I want to live with." Tyler was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded. "Okay, but we do this right. I pay rent, we split groceries and utilities based on our incomes, and I contribute to the household. I am not a kept man, Helena." "I would never want you to be," Helena said, kissing him. "You are my partner, in everything." They found a house in a good school district, a 4-bedroom craftsman with a big backyard and a porch perfect for reading on summer evenings. Mia and Liam each got their own room, decorated exactly how they wanted. There was a home office for Helena and a workshop in the garage for Tyler. The kitchen was big enough for family dinners, and the living room had space for everyone to spread out. Moving day was chaos. Mia and Liam ran through the empty rooms, their voices echoing, claiming spaces and making plans. Tyler carried boxes with the help of some friends from his construction crew. Helena directed traffic, her organizational skills honed by years of managing teams put to domestic use. That night, after the kids were asleep in their new rooms and the mountain of boxes seemed insurmountable, Tyler and Helena sat on the porch swing, exhausted and happy. "I never thought I would have something like this," Tyler said, looking out at their yard. "A real home. Space for my kids to grow, a future that feels stable. We built it together," Helena said. "This is as much yours as mine." "I love you," Tyler said, turning to face her. "I do not think I have said that enough, but I love you, Helena, more than I thought I could love anyone besides my kids." "I love you too," Helena whispered. "You changed my whole life. You showed me what really matters." They sat there in the swing, wrapped in each other's arms, and Helena felt a peace she had never known. This was success. This was winning. Not the corner office or the 7-figure salary, but this moment, this man, this family. A year later, Tyler proposed on a Thursday night at the library. They had continued their tradition, even after moving to the new house, still spending every Thursday evening in the reading nook. This time, after finishing Where the Wild Things Are, Tyler pulled out a small velvet box. "Helena Caldwell," he said, his voice shaking slightly, "you walked into our lives when I did not even know we needed you. You love my children like they are your own. You make me want to be better, do better, dream bigger. Will you marry me?" Helena was crying too hard to speak, so she just nodded. Liam and Mia, who had clearly been in on the secret, started cheering. The librarian shushed them but was smiling. The ring was simple, not the massive diamond someone of Helena's wealth might expect. But it had belonged to Tyler's grandmother, and he had saved for months to have it resized and cleaned. Helena loved it more than any expensive jewelry she owned. They planned a small wedding in the backyard of their home. Helena's business associates were surprised by the modest venue and the groom in his off-the-rack suit. But watching Helena walk down the makeshift aisle in a simple white dress, her face glowing as she looked at Tyler, no one could doubt this was exactly what she wanted. Mia and Liam served as flower girl and ring bearer, taking their jobs very seriously. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, Liam loudly said, "I think it is a good idea," making everyone laugh. Tyler cried when he said his vows. Helena cried when she said hers. They both cried when Mia and Liam presented them with a drawing they had made, showing their family of 4 with a banner that said, "Forever." At the reception, Helena's assistant pulled her aside. "I have to admit, when you first started leaving early on Thursdays, I thought you were sick or having some kind of crisis. I never imagined you were falling in love." "Neither did I," Helena said, watching Tyler dance with Mia while Liam sat on the sidelines, insisting he did not dance. "But it was the best crisis I ever had." Life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Helena still ran her company, but she did it from 9 to 5 most days, with Tyler's support and encouragement. She discovered she could be successful without sacrificing everything else. Her team rose to the challenge, and the company actually thrived with the distributed leadership. Tyler started his own small construction business, specializing in custom carpentry. Helena helped him with the business plan and initial financing as a loan, not a gift, which he insisted on paying back with interest. His work was beautiful, and word spread quickly. Soon he had more projects than he could handle. Mia and Liam flourished in their stable, loving home. Mia discovered a talent for writing and filled notebooks with stories. Liam became obsessed with building things, often helping Tyler in his workshop. Both of them called Helena Mom now, a transition that had happened naturally over time, and every time Helena heard it, her heart swelled. 2 years into their marriage, Helena discovered she was pregnant. She had thought she was too focused on her career to want children of her own, but holding that positive test, she felt nothing but joy. When she told Tyler, he lifted her up and spun her around, both of them laughing and crying. Mia and Liam were ecstatic about becoming big siblings. They helped paint the nursery and pick out baby clothes and argued good-naturedly about whether they wanted a brother or sister. When baby Emma arrived on a snowy December morning, she entered a world full of love. Her father cried when he held her for the first time. Her mother marveled at the tiny miracle they had created together. Her older siblings kissed her fuzzy head and promised to protect her always. Helena took 3 months of maternity leave, the first real break she had taken in her entire career. She spent those months in a sleep-deprived haze of feedings and diaper changes and endless love. Tyler got up with her every night, bringing her water and changing Emma while Helena nursed, the 2 of them working as a team the way they did with everything. When Helena went back to work, it was part-time at first, gradually building back to full-time over several months. Tyler rearranged his project schedule to be home more. They hired a nanny they both trusted, but made sure one of them was always home for dinner and bedtime. Thursday nights at the library continued, now with Emma sleeping in a carrier against Tyler's chest while he read to the older kids. The librarians knew them by name, smiled when they arrived, sometimes set aside new books they thought the family would enjoy. One Thursday, almost 4 years after that first night, Helena had wandered into the library. She sat in their usual reading nook watching Tyler read, Where the Wild Things Are, to Emma, while Mia and Liam browsed the chapter book section. She thought about the woman she had been then, driven and successful but ultimately empty. She thought about how close she had come to missing all of this, too focused on quarterly reports to see what really mattered. Tyler caught her eye over Emma's head and smiled, that same warm smile that had captured her heart. She smiled back, feeling the weight of her wedding ring and the warmth of their family around her. After the library closed, they all piled into the SUV they had bought when Emma was born. The old Honda had finally been retired, sold to a teenager for his first car. They drove home through the city streets, Liam chattering about dinosaurs, Mia reading by the overhead light, Emma cooing happily in her car seat. At home, Tyler carried Emma inside while Helena helped Mia and Liam with their library books. They went through the bedtime routine they had perfected over years of practice. Baths, pajamas, teeth brushing, final drinks of water, and then the tucking in. Helena read to Mia while Tyler read to Liam, then they switched and did it again, making sure each child got time with each parent. Emma nursed and fell asleep in Helena's arms, and Helena put her gently in the crib in the nursery. Finally, after all 3 children were asleep, Helena and Tyler collapsed on the couch together. "Tired?" Tyler asked, pulling her close. "Exhausted," Helena admitted, "and happier than I have ever been." "Me too," Tyler said, kissing her forehead. "I was thinking today about that first night at the library. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had not come in that night?" "I try not to," Helena said, "because I cannot imagine my life without you, without all of this." "I love you," Tyler said. "Thank you for taking a chance on a struggling dad and his messy life." "Thank you for showing me what love really looks like," Helena replied. "What family really means. You gave me everything I did not know I was missing." They sat there in the quiet house, surrounded by the evidence of their life together. Toys in the corner and drawings on the refrigerator and family photos on the walls. It was not the life Helena had planned, not the success she had been chasing for so many years. But it was perfect in all the ways that mattered. Later, lying in bed with Tyler's arms around her, Helena thought about success and happiness and the difference between the two. She had learned that you could have all the money and power in the world and still feel empty. But you could also have a small apartment and struggling bank account and feel rich beyond measure. What made the difference was love. Simple, profound, everyday love. The kind of love that showed up in bedtime stories and family dinners and Thursday nights at the library. The kind of love Tyler had been giving his children all along, even when he thought he had nothing to offer. Helena had spent years building an empire. But in the end, the best thing she ever built was this family, this love, this life. And every Thursday night, when they went to the library and Tyler read Where the Wild Things Are in that same gentle voice, Helena was reminded of why she had fallen in love with him in the first place. Not because he needed saving, but because he had saved her. He had shown her what really mattered. He had given her a purpose beyond profit and success. He had given her a family, a home, a reason to leave work on time and slow down and appreciate the small moments that made up a life. Their story had started in a library, with a woman looking for something she could not name, and a man reading bedtime stories to his children. It had grown into something beautiful and lasting, proving that sometimes the best love stories are not about grand gestures or dramatic rescues, but about showing up, being present, and choosing each other every single day. Years later, when Mia was in high school working on a writing assignment about influential moments, she asked Helena about how she and Tyler met. "Your dad was reading to you and Liam at the library," Helena said, smiling at the memory. "And something about the way he loved you both, the way he made time for what mattered even when he was exhausted and struggling, it just captured my heart." I saw the man he was, and I knew I wanted to be part of your family." "I am glad you did," Mia said. "I cannot imagine our life without you." "Neither can I," Helena said, her eyes misty. "Neither can I." That evening, as had become tradition over the years, the whole family went to the library. Mia and Liam were older now, picking out their own books, but they still joined their parents and little Emma in the reading nook. Tyler pulled out Where the Wild Things Are, worn from years of reading, and began the familiar words. Helena looked around at her family, at the life they had built together, and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. She had everything she ever wanted, even though it looked nothing like what she had imagined. And it all started here, in this library, with a man who showed her that the richest life had nothing to do with money and everything to do with love. As Tyler's voice filled the reading nook, bringing Max's wild adventure to life one more time, Helena reached for his free hand and squeezed it. He squeezed back, his eyes meeting hers with all the love and understanding that had grown between them over the years. They had built something beautiful together. Not perfect, never perfect, but real and true and full of love. And every Thursday, sitting in that library reading nook, they were reminded of where it all began. Where a CEO learned that success was not measured in dollars, but in bedtime stories and family dinners, and the everyday magic of loving and being loved. Helena Caldwell had conquered the business world, built a tech empire, and achieved everything she thought she wanted. But her greatest achievement, her truest success, was sitting right here beside her. A man who had taught her what strength really looked like. 2 children who had welcomed her into their lives and hearts, a daughter they had created together. A family built on love and trust and Thursday nights at the library. And as Tyler finished reading and the kids clamored for just one more book, Helena smiled and settled in for another story, knowing she was exactly where she belonged. She had found her wild things, her home, her heart. And she was never letting go.